is start talking about how do you actually apply this. It's great for us to stand up here and be energetic. It's great for Andy to kind of try and knock me down on stage or whatever up here. But does that really help you? And we'd say, well, it's entertaining, but what really helps you is getting into the fact that you need to start looking at specific environments. Don't try to tackle the entire organization. Where's your 10%? Where's your 20%? Maybe it's in email. What are you doing? Maybe it's in how you deal with backup media worldwide, or maybe just in country here in the US. How are you dealing with share drive environments? And then you say to yourself, okay, so we've got these things, let's target, let's figure out, maybe we got a friend in compliance or somewhere else. Find your friends in the organization, pick specific targets. And then this other thing, look for the opportunities to chuck. And these things like mergers and acquisitions, divestitures, new technology onboarding. Let's say you're going to SharePoint, or we're going to have a SharePoint environment. Let's move everything from the shared drives to SharePoint. No, don't. Let's think about what we move and what we don't move. I know, let's just keep it all. No, you're going to get rid of stuff. How about that? And you know what a court's going to say 2 years ago or 2 years from now about what you did 2 years ago? Okay, so you migrated data. You had a process by which businesses looked at what they needed. Yep. You had a process by which you looked at legal holds and you figured out if there was anything subject to legal hold on that shared drive. You actually migrated that to a legal server, or you made sure it's preserved. Yep. You got rid of the rest, right? Yep. And now we've got a case that deals with some of the stuff you got rid of. Yep. Well, all that sounds like it was in good faith. I don't see anything pointing to the fact that you're trying to destroy evidence for the purpose of getting it out of an investigation or litigation. A-OK, thumbs up. Facebook, I love it. We'll say the court. I guarantee you, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a judge that will shoot you in an instance. But I will also guarantee you, you'll have lots of lawyers saying, oh, it's possible. It's possible. It's possible that the moon might crash into the earth tomorrow. Yeah, okay. But that's the thing. You're run by fear. You heard that in that panel this morning. They're dead on. Lawyers imagine the worst from their law school training and otherwise, and then they spook each other. It's actually kind of, like you get, like, what was the movie, where they're all running around in the woods, like kind of like Fright Night or whatever. I can't remember what it was. Oh, Blair Witch Project. It's great. Let's turn off the lights here and see how spooked you all get. Hey, we should try that next year, Andy. But the whole point here is, that's what happens with the lawyers. They spook themselves out. Talk about after 9/11, you had IT people, like, we got to save everything. The lawyers get spooked out when they heard Laura Zubilake after the fourth decision. They're like, we got to save everything. That's not what Judge Shindlin said. You heard her on Monday if you're fortunate enough to be here, or if you've seen her elsewhere. She said, I don't understand why people keep this stuff. She never intended that you just stop the wheels of progress, stop the wheels of everything and just freeze everything. That's not what she said when she focused on key players. That's not what she said when she said people should meet and confer about what's the time period. She said use common sense, and somehow we've lost it. Don't lose it. Your job is to take common sense and look at these opportunities, whether it's technology, onboarding, moves. There are great opportunities here, by the way. There are costs associated with office moves. There are costs that people in the organization are saying we're going to budget. We're going to put budgets out for making sure we make transitions. That's the place to stand up and say, hey, maybe this is a great time we get rid of that warehouse of boxes. Or maybe this is a great time that we look at the server costs and deal with the CTOs about these are things and places where you can actually seize it. Step in as Chuck Norris. Don't be afraid, because that's where you can get budget. It's put in as a cost of the operation. If it's a divestiture, if it's an acquisition, you can get budget, just like Goldman Sachs or anyone else, they're all getting a piece of it. Why don't you get a piece of it? Get a piece of the budget here so you can actually get the people, the technology, the resources, and maybe if you need legal defensibility, you get that and you apply it. Because too often you're sitting back and these things just happen. Don't be passive anymore, because I gotta tell you, when the organizations are actually doing this, they're finding rich opportunities for savings. And they are doing it. The amount of data that they've saved, they've gotten rid of it, and the lawyers, once they're educated, they become comfortable. And sometimes the outside counsel grumbles, but the in-house counsel says, we are the business. We are making this risk, and unless you tell me we're really going to get sanctioned tomorrow, and none of the lawyers can tell them that, you know what? We're going to take that risk. So it's understanding you need to take risk, and understanding you need to do that smart. And then finally, going back to that point, was at the beginning, that by doing nothing, walking out of this room and saying, well, that sounds great, but we're not going to do anything, that's more risky. So that's our mission. Let's talk about, I think this slide is yours, sir. You got a knife.
I don't have a gun, but I do have a knife. I was thinking like 3.5 minutes ago, I wanted to bust in and say something, And then I thought,
That's very
wow,
nice.
there's like, can you be quiet? And there was like
No.
not one single break. It's like it's a little bit like he did not take even a breath. And then I thought to myself, oh my God, is that what I look like? And do I seem like that? Am I that intense? And then I thought to myself, oh my God, if I seem like that, it must be so miserable to be sitting out there. And then I started to like hate myself. And then, but then I figured I had to come back into the fray because it's like this competitive speaking thing. So he said something about what Shinlin said a few minutes ago that's really important.